Hey guys, what's going on? I'm back with another video. This week we're doing the Week 9 picks. It is Week 9 in the NFL, so we'll be going through all the games that are going on this week, giving you my picks, predictions, discussions, some hot takes, just blow some hot air. You get the idea. Week 9, so the season's more than half over. It's always sad when that happens. You hate to see that. But what are you going to do? I mean, we're the one, the silver lining, I guess you could say, is that we're getting into the best games of the year now. Not usually, every year they always put the best games in like November and the beginning of December. Just peak football, season. So that's so it's it's a silver lining there. Early in the season, just a bunch of crap games. We're watching a bunch of good teams beating up on bad teams. Not a really good product in a lot of cases. The league's down this year. Injuries, the whole thing. So, but however. Even starting this week, we do have some good games coming up on the schedule here. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So, Week 9. All right. So the first game, Thursday night tonight, San Francisco 7-0, Cardinals 3-4-1. Not really gonna waste any time on this one, except to talk about San Francisco. Of course, San Francisco is gonna win this game. One of the things I'm noticing about San Francisco, and I know it's just a coincidence. Well, not quite, but I used to notice this with Denver a lot when Denver was good. Like, it used to be like Denver's, most formidable opponents, they played at home, and then the bad opponents they played on the road. You know what I mean? Like the 49ers, it's like uncanny how this works. Now, basically, home and road is determined by, you play. So I've explained this before. I guess I'll have to explain it again. You play every team in your division twice. Then you play an entire other division within your conference once. Then you play, the other two divisions in your conference. You play the team who had the same seed as you in your division last year, who's in the same seed in their division last year as well. So, let's say you're finished with the second seed in your division, and another team, you're in the AFC West, and you're playing the AFC South. Then you're going to play the second seed from last year in the AFC North and East, if that makes sense. And then you play an entire division in the other conference for a total of 16 games. So, as far as the home and road goes, with the interconference games, it's just wherever you didn't play. So if you play, let's say you're the Bills and you're playing the Eagles. If you played in Philadelphia last time, it's in Buffalo this time. So that's basically how it works. It's the games in your division. You play everybody in your division twice, once at home, once on the road. And then as far as the games, in your conference in the other divisions, I'm not 100% sure how that works, but it's either... I don't want to say it's like who had the better record gets home, because it has to be like 8 home games and 8 road games. So I feel like it might be, but it's not. See, I don't think that switches off, because there's teams in different divisions that play each other, in consecutive years, like, away both times or home both times. So I'm not sure, but nonetheless, there is a system for it. It's not like totally random. However, if you look at the 49ers schedule here, it just seems like there's this advantageous home road thing kind of built in here. So go back to week 1. I mean, the Buccaneers, forget that. The Bengals, forget that. The Steelers, they're not good this year. Browns, forget it. But then you look at the Rams. Like the Rams game, virtually the Rams are kind of down. I guess the league's just down. The Panthers game, that could have been a formidable opponent, right? And then it was at home and they blew them out. This game's an easy game and they're on the road. The next game is difficult game. It's a difficult game because they're against the Seahawks and it's at home. Cardinals, again, that one doesn't matter. Then they get the Packers at home. And then they have to go to Baltimore. All right, so that's tricky, but it does seem like there's a little bit, like for some reason they keep getting the harder games at home, get that nice home field advantage. But nonetheless, put that aside, San Francisco, what a team. Jimmy G's playing great. I mean, he's got a problem with interceptions. Like, he stares down receivers for too long, gets sacked, throws picks. However, the guy can make all the throws. The defense is good. The defense is actually great. Good receivers. They picked up Emmanuel Sanders before the trade deadline. A few days before the trade, basically it was like late last week or so. He got his feet wet in San Francisco, coming over from Denver. Run game. I mean, they can do it all in San Francisco. It's a great team, 7-0. However, you could also make the argument they've played. So there's only 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL: the 49ers in the NFC and the Patriots in the AFC. You could make the same argument for both teams that they've played absolute garbage so far, which is totally true. Like, if you look at the 49ers schedule, this is who the 49ers have played, all right? They have played the Buccaneers, trash. The Bengals, garbage. The Steelers, trash. The Browns, turns out, are trash. The Rams, not as good as last year. Redskins, trash. Panthers, trash. And tomorrow night's the Cardinals, trash. However, it gets a lot harder because we're going to have the Seahawks, the Packers, the Ravens, I mean, it's going to get a lot harder. I think the Seahawks twice even. So, I mean, the Seahawks are playing really well this year. So, the road does get harder for the 49ers as well as the Patriots. But, they're 7-0. They already had their bye week, and they played garbage teams for like 7 or 8 weeks or whatever it's been. So there's an explanation for some of this. But nonetheless, it's still a really great team. Of course, I've got the beaten Arizona. Next thing up, Houston at Jacksonville. So this is interesting because, I feel like the record doesn't tell the whole story. Houston, Lamar Jackson playing out of his... I'm sorry, not Lamar Jackson. Deshaun Watson. It gets confusing. It's like basically the same guy, all right? Deshaun Watson playing out of his mind. I'm sure you've seen the highlight by now. He's getting tackled. He's getting sacked. Somehow, keeps his balance, finds his footing, gets up, gets kicked in the eye. Like some guy... falls and his leg goes up and comes right through his face mask, gets hit in the eye, he's been under pressure, somehow spins around like Aaron Rodgers style and guns it in the end. It's tremendous play. And Aaron Rodgers had probably one of the greatest plays you'll ever see. I mean, you could argue with the fact that it was third and goal from the 3 or whatever it was, and he's rolling around back at the 13 throw. I mean, that's what I said about Aaron Rodgers. The guy doesn't set his feet. He just wants to make those throws and go home. That's all he does. But, that's why the Packers have been inconsistent. They're not a good regular season team. But anyways, so Houston playing really well. They're 5-3. Jacksonville, on the other hand, there's the Gardner Minshew, Nick Foles drama. Nick Foles could be coming back. We'll kind of see how that goes here. I know everybody really likes. I don't see what's so exceptional with Gardner Minshew. I'm really going to tell you, I don't get it. I'm not high on Jacksonville. I feel like. They had this Cinderella year in 2017. They were good the first couple weeks last year, and then they just went to trash. It's just been a downhill descent since then. You look at Jacksonville's schedule so far. This is another one of those things where you kind of have to assess the record, with respect to who they've played. You go back to week 1, they got blown out by the Chiefs, beat by the Texans. They beat the Titans, who kind of suck this year, very similar to the Jaguars. They barely beat the Broncos. They lose to the Panthers. They lose to the Saints. And they let the Bengals put up 17 points last week. Or, I'm sorry, the week before. They had a, quasi-competitive game against the Jets. I mean, it's a middling average team here. They're just not what they once were, as is the case with a lot of these teams. And for that reason, we got them losing to the Texans. Deshaun Watson is just, I want to know if the Texans are going to play the Ravens. What a duel that would be. It's just it's basically the same guy. I mean, Lamar Jackson's speed is freaking unbelievable on Baltimore. And then Deshaun Watson, not only can he scramble around out of the pocket, make plays with his legs, the guy's got an arm. He can make all the throws. And, it's just going to be a question of, the Texans lost J.J. Watt. The question's going to come down to, you look at the NFC, 11, we've done this before, 11 of the 16 teams in the NFC are playoff contenders. Only 6 of them technically can make the playoffs, but you could flip a coin and it's you'd have a totally different feel in the NFC every time just because of how competitive it is. The AFC, there's 2 or 3 good teams, all right? If you look at the AFC right now, okay, obviously number 1, there's the Patriots, okay? Then, you'd have to go with the Ravens, the Texans, so it's Patriots, Ravens, Texans, Colts, and then the Chiefs are going to get in there. We're going to see how, they just lost again. We're going to see how things go with them. And then the Bills are going to get in. But it's in the NFC, every team could be the number 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Whereas in the AFC, it's clearly the Patriots. Then by 5 miles, then you have the rest of them. You know what I mean? It's there's not a lot of parity in the AFC. So, Houston's obviously going to be there in the end. And the question just comes down to, are they going to be able to score? Is their defense going to be able to hold, I guess in this case it's the Patriots, the number 1 seed, number 1 of the power rings. Could Houston's defense hold the Patriots offense to fewer points than the Patriots' number 1 almost all-time defense is holding other teams to? The question is no. Which is kind of what it feels like those are going to come down to here. But Houston, I really like what they're doing. I got Houston one this week. Next game up, Pittsburgh and Indy. Give me Indy. Pittsburgh sucks. Next game up, the Bears and the Eagles. This is an interesting one. So the Bears are 3-4. Mitch Trubisky blows. The guy's what a mess. The Eagles, on the other hand, the Eagles are they lose this week, they're not making the playoffs. They might already not make the playoffs now if they don't lose again, because I mean they've got, they've got 4 losses, assuming they finish 12-4. Like that might not even be enough in the NFC, because you've got the 49ers, you got the Saints. I mean we've been through the list. I mean it would probably still work out, but it's like, it's a really, really tough field in the NFC this year. So I mean, if they lose one more, you can probably stick a fork in them. They're done. They're not going to make it. So they really need this game. It's in Philly. They had, like the last couple weeks. You look at what's going on with the Eagles the last couple weeks. They lose to the Vikings. Then they get blown out by the Cowboys, which that's rare. Then last weekend they came back and they put some points in Buffalo on a really good Bills defense. So they're just not consistent. They're just one of these teams that's just not able to consistently go out there and do what they need to do. I mean, you even look at the year they won the Super Bowl, 2017. Even in that season, it was inconsistent. And then you got Nick Foles. I'm sorry, not Nick Foles. Carson Wentz, goes out with the ACL. Nick Foles comes in, and you look at it, and it's like, even that was up and down. Like they were not the favorite for that, throughout most of 2017. I mean, even until the end, they weren't the favorite. So it's like, it's just not a team, sort of like the Packers. Like, they can turn it on when they want, but they're liable to just kind of slip into this, just mediocre, like they're just, playing half asleep. But, we'll see what's going to happen here. We all know the Bears have a good defense. They have a miserable offense. It's in Philadelphia. Mitch Trubisky sucks. If I haven't made that clear already, how I feel about that. I got Philadelphia winning this game. They need to start putting wins together here. Next game up, the Jets in Miami. Not even going to waste any time on this. Completely garbage game right here. Give me the Jets because the Dolphins are just yuck. Next game up, Minnesota in Kansas City. This is a sneaky good game right here. Sneaky good game. So, Minnesota 6-2. Minnesota is a 6-2 team that no one talks. Like, I've said this before, I'll say it again. There are teams in the NFL that just never get discussed. Like the 0-7 Dolphins get discussed more than usually it's always the Redskins. Like nobody talks about the Redskins for some reason, but this year people are, just because there's the leadership there's a disaster. Trent Williams, there is some drama to that this year. But generally speaking, like the Vikings, I mean they're 6-2, and it's like they're not getting it. It's like Rodney Dangerfield. They got no respect. So it just kind of feels like, it's a sneaky good team. Going into Kansas City needs to win. If Kansas City loses another one, they're not getting a bye. And if they lose again, I mean, you still got like half the season left. You could miss the play. All right. The AFC's so garbage that they're not going to miss the play. It's not going to happen. But they're really falling behind here. So, Mahomes, it's, kind of up in the air what his status is. Might be back this week. I don't know why they're gonna like run him into the ground like RG3 and what's his name, Andrew Luck. Like they're just like the guy is your future. You guys are gonna be like the face of the NFL for like the next 10 years. You would think. And they're just they're gonna run him into the ground. I mean you gotta let him rest and be completely healthy here, or else it's not gonna be good. But it's in Kansas City. We'll see. I mean I think that Moore last week put in. They did end up losing to the Packers, but it was a pretty good, losing a guy like Patrick Mahomes, who's that talented and that important. You'd think your team's just gonna fall apart. I mean, most teams do after a loss like that. But Moore came in. I mean, it's not really about Matt Moore. It really has to do more with the fact that Andy Reid's offense is so dynamic. There's so many weapons that I could go out there. I don't want to say that, but I could go out there and throw the ball and make some plays. Like that's how good their offense is. The players, the talent, the receiving core, Andy Reid's scheme. So it's all is not lost for Kansas City, but you got a sneaky good Minnesota team coming in here. It's a 1:00 game. It's not a primetime game where the place goes nuts. So it's I just man, Kansas City really needs this win. You know what? I got Minnesota winning this game just because I don't know. I feel like they kind of overachieved last week against the Packers, and I feel like Minnesota is a team that people sleep on. So I got Minnesota winning this game. Next game up, Tennessee Titans, Carolina Panthers. What a garbage! But this is like a matchup that should be in London at 6 a.m. Pacific. Those garbage games where it's like the Buccaneers and the Dolphins, just the worst games you can think of. This is one of those games. Like the Panthers last week, we think, hey, the Panthers, they're doing well. Look at this. Cam Newton goes down, but they're still playing really well, and they're, good offense, good run game. And then they go and just get absolutely blown to smithereens by the 49ers. Like 51 points? 50 points? I mean, if your team gives up 50 points, you suck, all right? Like, even if you have a bad game, you still shouldn't let up 50 points. Like, 50 points is, even if you're playing a great offense, you have 50 points. That's something, other things are wrong than you just lost the game. I mean, that's bad. Tennessee has regressed in a serious way from last year. Tennessee last year, as a matter of fact, the last couple of years, it looks like they were building towards something, and now I kind of don't really get what's going on there. With Vrabel and company, I think it starts with the quarterback. I think I don't know. They should be better, and they're just not. They're playing in the AFC South, and you got. It was competitive at one point, but now you've got, the Colts, they lose Andrew Luck. But Jacoby Brissett's coming. He's no Andrew Luck, but, he's getting the job done. The Texans are obviously the class of the AFC South. And so it's crowded for the Titans. They just haven't been able to put it together consistently. They've just seems like, they're a few fries short of a happy meal. Like they had it going in 2017, 2018 last year. They blew out the Patriots. It's not often that happens. And then they just haven't been able to keep it together. So, you look at the Panthers on the other hand. I look at that team. Like, Ron Rivera is such a tool. I just don't take that team seriously. It's in Carolina. They got blown out last week. This has to be a bounce-back game. I got Carolina winning this game. Next game up, the Redskins and Buffalo. Going to be Buffalo. I'm going to waste any time on this one. The Seahawks hosting Tampa Bay. The Seahawks don't waste any time with that. The Raiders hosting the Lions. All right, so the Raiders this year, and I know I've said this before, I'll say it again. Like, the Raiders are a team, like, I want them to do well. If nothing else, just for the nostalgia of Gruden and 2001 and just that old school NFL thing. It's like, I don't know, I'm just a sucker for nostalgia. So it's like, they win week one, they beat the Broncos, lose to the Chiefs, lose to the Vikings, beat the Colts. So the Colts are pretty good. I mean, as we've come to find, that's quite an accomplishment. They beat the Bears, lose to the Packers 2 weeks ago, and then they just barely lost to the Texans. A game they were looking like they were going to win. So now they're 3-4, but I like what I see. It feels like they're building towards something there. They're going to be moving to Vegas. It kind of feels like one of those things where, Gruden, ownership basically said, hey, look, just be good by the time we get out there. So, yeah, it's okay they sucked for, a year or two, but, it's definitely an improvement over last year. I like what I see. They're hosting the Lions. The Lions are 3-1. Raiders are 3-4. It's in Oakland. I got the Raiders winning this game. I just feel like, yeah, I feel like the Raiders are building towards something. Yeah. All right, I got the Raiders. I know I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and it has a lot to do with it, but whatever. Next game up, the Packers and the Chargers. The Packers are 7-1. The Chargers are 3-5. The Chargers look like they've packed it in. This might be the end for Phillip Rivers. I got the Packers winning this game. Next game up, Cleveland in Denver. Give me Cleveland. Denver sucks. Next game up here, this is the game of the week. Well, actually, let me just go through and make sure this is the game of the week. Blah, 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 yeah, okay. Oh, man. All right. Yeah, we're going to go with this one. This has to be the game of the week. This might be one of the games of the year. Sunday night, New England at Baltimore. This is the first. New England's 8-0, undefeated. Best record in the NFL. Baltimore's 5-2. The way I feel about this game is first of all, this is the first real test for the Patriots. They've played just crap teams so far. They really haven't struggled at all. They struggled to score some points against the Bills. They defense looked not shaky, but they did make a couple mistakes against the Browns. The Browns have a lot of weapons. It's just Freddie Kitchens can't put it together around there. So it's like this is the first test of the year. The Baltimore Ravens. Now I know the Baltimore Ravens. Maybe they're not the best team in the league, but historically, if there's ever been any other coach in the NFL or in the AFC, maybe, who's ever consistently been able to give the Patriots and Bill Belichick a run for their money, it's John Harbaugh and the Ravens. I know Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and those guys aren't there anymore, but still, Harbaugh's he's not Freddie Kitchens. He's not just gonna go out there and pee down his leg when he sees Bill Belichick on the other sideline. This is a guy, Harbaugh, who he can match him pound for pound. He's not gonna make stupid mistakes. He's not gonna beat himself. It's in Baltimore. It's Sunday night, prime time, under the bright lights. You know, Lamar Jackson can run like he's probably one of the fastest guys I've ever seen. You know, when he scrambles up. I mean, the guy can move. I mean, this is it's a good offense. You know, it's a solid defense. I feel like this is a. I want to pick Baltimore almost because it has the feet in Baltimore. They're coming off a bye week. Like everything in this game says Baltimore, but I have to go with New England winning this game because this is one of those things where it's like, okay, you know, like for 9 weeks now, maybe even since April when the schedule came out. I mean, you look at the schedule, you know, when it came out, and it's like, you know, even before the season, even before you really knew how teams were this year. Because, I mean, when you think about, you know, the schedule and difficult teams, you know, before the season starts, all you can think about is how they were like a year ago, how they were last year. That's your last. I mean, you don't know how they're going to be this year. I mean, you have an idea, but like, you knew the Dolphins were going to suck. Like, we knew that, but I mean, you didn't know that. You know, like almost every NFC, not every NFC team, but like, you know, you didn't know it would be like, you know, this bloodbath in the NFC. You didn't know that the Bills would be 5-2. You didn't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, even in spite of all that, you still knew looking at the Patriots schedule, you know, way back when that, you know, this is the game you circle on your calendar. You know, like this is the one, okay, week 9, Baltimore, this is the game right here. So it's not like they're going to be surprised. Like, I mean, it's been known for a long time, at least I would assume in New England, that yeah, we're probably going to coast through most of these games, but this game here, like probably even a month ago, you're thinking about this game because this is the game right here, all right? This is the one where you separate the men from the boys, all right? You know, it's and so because of that, you know, I don't think they're going to be surprised by this game. You know, I think the Patriots have known this is going to be the difficult game, Baltimore, Harbaugh, that whole thing. I don't think they're going to be surprised. I think they're going to be ready for it. I think it's going to be a close game, but ultimately, I'm going with New England winning this game. Last game Monday night, Cowboys at Giants. Give me the Cowboys. The Giants are worse for the wear. So the Cowboys win this game. All right, guys, that's going to do for this week's picks. Let me know what you think down in the description. If you agree, disagree, anything like that. So I've seen some comments of people coming in like after the games, like, "See, I told you so. I told you they were going to win." Which, you know, hindsight's 20/20. What are you going to do? But you know, nonetheless, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Other than that, until next week, that's going to do for this one, guys. Thanks for watching.